The following TGC production may not be rebroadcast or otherwise used without the expressed written consent of the Government Channel 16 and the City of Athens. Your local source for live meetings. The Government Channel presents
In 1797, 11 men were sent to establish a settlement overlooking the Hockhocking. Today, that settlement is known as the City of Athens. This year, the city celebrates its 200th birthday. Throughout the year, there have been special gatherings and celebrations honoring the city's history. And in the next 30 minutes, today on Spotlight, we'll be taking a look at some of those. Also, what does Lyndon Johnson, football, and Brooks have in common? Well, they're all subjects on today's bicentennial moments. I'm Shireen Jones. All that and more on today's Spotlight.
This is Spotlight, October 1997.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm Shireen Jones. Each Spotlight shines its light on different locations throughout the city. And today we're at the Athens County Historical Society and Museum. It's here where you'll find numerous displays of the city's 200 years of history. Now throughout the year, the bicentennial has been celebrated in many ways. Spotlight's Suzanne Billett takes us on a journey, recapping some of the events.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Billett for Spotlight. The City of Athens celebrates its bicentennial this year through a variety of events. The majority of the festivities are free to the public and offer a fun way to celebrate Athens' heritage. Many of the bicentennial events took place earlier in '97. The Athens First Presbyterian Church held events during the rededication of their stained glass windows. The church added new windows to the building and replaced the damaged pieces. Community leaders gave a variety of lectures, ranging from Civil War topics to the Hocking Canal. At the West State Cemetery, several actors in costume reenacted historical figures' lives and spoke on the individual's lifetime accomplishments in the bicentennial event entitled Dead Men Do Tell Tales. Athens also held its annual International Street Fair to celebrate its cultural diversity. This year's 4th of July celebration, held at the Athens Fairgrounds, also had a bicentennial theme. The AM Rotary and Fantastic Fourth Committee sponsored the fireworks and events. At the Athens City Hall, Lieutenant Governor Nancy P. Hollister led the office ceremony for the presentation of the bicentennial commemorative plaques. Along with the presentation, the program also consisted of a tour of the Athens County Courthouse Bicentennial Gallery. The plaques are presently located inside the City Hall building. Historical photos are also on display. All of these events offered the community a great deal of ways to become involved in the bicentennial celebration. For Spotlight, this is Suzanne Billett.
The bicentennial party isn't over yet. Still to come, the Athens Bicentennial Ball. A little later on Spotlight, we'll be talking with Chris Cornwell, who's overseeing the planning of the ball. But first, the City of Athens' character is built a lot on its bricks. But how did that happen? Spotlight's Alicia Rich shows us how in this bicentennial moment.
From the 1890s to World War I, the Athens Brick Company was one of Athens' major employers. The firm specialized in paving brick, utilizing the shale deposits that once covered portions of North Court, Lancaster, Grosvenor, and Franklin streets. The village council advanced some of the funds needed to start the business, the money to be repaid in bricks. Located on what is now Stimson Avenue, The company employed 75 to over 100 persons. World War I regulations closed the business down. I'm Elisa Rich with another Athens bicentennial moment.
Thanks, Elisa. Now I'm standing in one of the displays here at the Athens County Historical Society Museum. It's a turn-of-the-century one-room schoolhouse. Still to come on Spotlight, Kick Up Your Heels. It's an old-fashioned barn dance, and the city's history comes alive. But when we return, I'll sit down with the organizer of this year's Bicentennial Ball.
20 kids. For 1 hour a week, you leave your concrete world of flip phones and faxes and talk to 20 kids about how business works. They will question everything, but those 20 kids will talk to 20 more. So by Saturday, what you said on Thursday could be halfway around their world. You get to make a difference. Could just make the rest of your week pretty dull. That's the new JA, teaching kids how business works.
We want to see our children succeed. But setting easy goals for our kids creates the toughest obstacle they'll ever face. Because succeeding in the real world isn't easy. Help the effort to raise standards in America's public schools. Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
My grandfather was born a slave, but both he and my grandmother went to college and became teachers. As you can imagine, the power of education was made very clear to me. So with the help of the college fund, I went to college. It prepared me for graduate school and other challenges, like being married to this guy.
Help young people reach their potential. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. Please support the college fund. What do you mean, challenge?
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm Shireen Jones. Now, all year long, special events have been happening in the city to celebrate the city's 200th. But the planning didn't just start a few months ago. It's been happening for quite a long time. Joining me now is Chris Cornwell, who is overseeing the planning of the city's Bicentennial Ball. Thanks for being with us today, Chris.
Well, thanks for having me.
Now, tell us, when did the planning for the ball actually begin?
Well, we've been in the process of planning it for over a year. Verda Jones, who is the chairperson of the steering committee for the bicentennial celebration, came to me, it was probably late last summer, a year ago last summer, and asked me to be the chairperson for the ball.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were asked and you got your committee together, what kind of process did you guys go through in deciding on the theme and things like that?
Well, I think the hardest parts were already done for us. When Verda asked me to chair the committee, they had already, the steering committee had already picked a date and a place, and they had already selected a band. So a lot of the initial items were already planned for us. So we, our committee had to plan the dinner and the menu, and basically how the schedule of events would go.
Now, is there any special theme that's going to be focused on this ball?
We talked a lot about having some bicentennial memorabilia there, but given more than anything the security of having the things there, and really being worried about something happening to these older memorabilia, we decided that we weren't going to have memorabilia there, but what we are going to do is each table at the ball will be named for an eminent Athenian. So each table will have a name and then a brief few lines about the history of that person and how they contributed to Athens.
So you'll still be able to learn a little bit about Athens history that night. Great. Now, how is the ball going to be remembered? I know they're putting together a special display here at the museum. How will the Bicentennial Ball be remembered?
Well, one of the things that we have planned for the evening, there will be a scroll sitting when people come into the door, they'll be able to sign the scroll. It's kind of like a guest book, but an old-time scroll just to kind of keep with the theme of the bicentennial. That scroll will be put into with the memorabilia for the rest of the events that occurred this year.
Okay. Now, kind of give us a rundown of what people can expect that night to happen.
Okay. The first item on the agenda, I guess, the event starts at 6:30. That will be cocktail and hors d'oeuvre hour. And that's just casual in terms of just people milling around and talking and getting to get acquainted with people who are there. At 7:30 there'll be a dinner, and then at 8:30 the Rick Brunetto Big Band starts playing, and they play until 11:30.
Great. Now, if folks are interested in attending the ball, where can they purchase tickets and how much do they cost?
Tickets are $30 a person, and that does include the dinner and the band. It does not, however, include cocktails, but that they will be available there. The tickets are available at Cornwell Jewelers on Court Street, and then also the Ohio University Inn has tickets as well. Right now there are only about 80 tickets of the 200 left, so it is a limited seating, so if people are interested they should probably start thinking about
Hurry
it.
up and buy them. Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us, Chris.
Well, thank you
and
for having me.
Good luck with the ball.
Thanks.
Now, the Bicentennial Ball isn't the only dance event being planned this year for the celebration. Spotlight's Jessa Goddard takes a closer look at one of the more colorful events, the Bicentennial Barn Dance.
The city of Athens celebrated her 200th birthday in a wide variety of ways, one being the Bicentennial Barn Dance. I'm Jessa Goddard here at the dance at VFW Post 3477. Mimi Smith coordinated the event and was pleased with the overall results.
I called Berta Jones, and she is the chairman of the Bicentennial, and I offered my help, and I told her I'd do anything that she wanted me to do. And she asked me if I would head up this barn dance in the fall, and I told her I would. At first we were going to just have a square dance, but we were afraid that it was sort of a dying art, you know, and not that many did that anymore. So that's why the variety this evening. So we're hoping that, you know, that it's a little bit of whatever they like, they'll find it here, because we've had a nice variety of entertainment, I think.
The night's musical entertainment was a wife and husband keyboard player and singer named Dean Dallas. They provided a wide variety of music, from the twist to those sad love songs that country music is famous for. The Midnight Cloggers made a performance, and they certainly have a resume to be proud of. They've performed at Disney World, Operaland, Dollywood, the State Fair, as well as in and around the Athens community. The members of the group boast ages spanning over 6 decades, with some as young as 10 and others as young as 70. Take a look at what I mean. These ladies don't miss a beat. Margie Smith has been with the Midnight Cloggers since her son created the group. I spoke to her about some of the experiences she's encountered as a clogger.
My son started this group 11 years ago. He had started teaching beginning clogging, and when you have a beginner class, you get all ages. And most of the people that came, as they learned to dance, they wanted to be a part of a show team, and so that's why he started the Midnight Cloggers. We have people from Ohio and West Virginia, and there's a lot of family.
There was also a square dance demonstration and lessons for anyone ready and willing to swing their partner round and round. Delver Richards is a square dance caller from way back. He told me about his beginnings in the business and some of the accomplishments he's...
I actually started square dancing when I was about 12 years old, but my dad was a caller, and so I learned after him. But I haven't called much until the last 20 years, and I enjoy it very much. And I had my own square dance at the Wagon Wheelers in Jackson for about 10 years, and we danced live band. But I closed them down about a year ago because it got to be work. But I still call on special occasions like this here.
Cowboy hats were given to the first 200 people through the door, and a bicentennial coverlet was given away as a door prize. Crowds exceeded all expectations, and a good time was had by all.
Thanks, Jessa. Now, many important people have visited Athens over the years, including former President Lyndon Johnson. Elisa Rich takes a look back at his visit in this bicentennial moment.
In May of 1964, Lyndon Johnson became the second president of the United States to visit Athens while in office. The president announced his war on poverty to 15,000 people from the west portico of Memorial Auditorium. The speech was attended not only by Ohio University students and faculty, but by area school children and community members as well. The president was also accompanied by several of his cabinet officers. I'm Elisa Rich with another Athens Bicentennial Moment.
Thanks, Elisa. Coming up on Spotlight, we'll take a look at how football got its start in Athens, and it's a historical reenactment when we return.
Tommy wants to design bridges when he grows up. Maybe he'll design one that you'll use. Now, would you like this free booklet of simple ways you can help improve his education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Picasso painted the old guitarist during a period of depression that lasted 4 years, his blue period. Today, with new discoveries, 80% of depressive disorders are being successfully treated, giving hope to millions that maybe now nobody has to have a blue period.
Your child out here unprotected? Never. Neither would you forget her baby shots. Yet nearly a third of our babies' lives are on the line, because even with regular doctor visits, they haven't had all their shots. Ask your doctor. Your baby needs at least 11 shots by age 2. Please don't leave her out there alone. 11 shots by 2. How sure are you?
Where's Michael?
National Guard duty.
Ah, bet he's just sandbagging.
I don't think so.
Sure he is. He left us with all the big fires to put out.
Over 52% of our military is made up of the National Guard and Reserve. They serve in times of war and in times of disaster. And the jobs they perform are hard enough, without you making it harder.
Well, let's hope he's ready for some late nights when he gets back.
Please support your employees in the National Guard and Reserve.
The energy saved by recycling just one aluminum can could operate a television set for 3 hours.
For every 4 feet of newspaper you recycle, 1 tree is saved.
The energy saved by recycling just 1 glass bottle could light a 100-watt bulb for 4 hours.
It's good to recycle because the world can get trashed up and we don't want that to happen in our world.
Buy stuff that's recycled. Recycle the stuff you buy. Take it back.
Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm Shireen Jones. I'm standing in one of the displays here at the Athens County Historical Society and Museum. It's a recreation of a 1920s, 1930s kitchen. Also recreated last spring was some very important historical moments in Athens. Carla Molinex was there and files this report.
In recognition of the Athens Bicentennial, the Athens Historical Society and Museum took a theatrical approach to educating citizens about the city's pioneers. 16 reenactors brought their stories and Athens history to life at selected grave sites at the West State Street Cemetery.
My name is Daniel Stewart. I am a Methodist. I am a Mason. I am a Whig. This is my tale. I was born in Lickfield, Connecticut, to Daniel and Phoebe Chapman Stewart in 1762. In 1777, at the age of 15, I enlisted and served in the Revolutionary War, where I fought in 7 arduous campaigns, seeing many fellow comrades succumb to the musket ball.
My name is Jean Thomas Brown. Not really, but I'm Barbara Lay. But I'm portraying Jean Thomas Brown, who was a lady born in Massachusetts in 1753 or 54. We're not just real sure. So I'm going to take 1754. That won't be quite as old. I met Captain Benjamin Brown in Massachusetts, and we were married in 1772. I was 18 years old at the time. My 2 children that I had at that time and I watched him go off with the other Minutemen. They took part in battles in Boston Harbor, in White Plains, New York, the Battle of White Plains, and also at Bunker Hill. And at Bunker Hill, he was under command of a gentleman by the name of Captain Prescott. And Captain Prescott is written in all of our history books today. There was a statement he made at that time. Anyone remember maybe what that statement was? Remember, this is Bunker Hill. Don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes. That was his statement. Now, he was a very valiant fighter, but that's what he's remembered for.
I do.
You folks, are you fixing to move into this area, or are you just passing through? Well, we'll, perhaps between Alvin and I, we can convince you. We've talked to a lot of folks into settling in these parts because it's a wonderful place to live and raise a family. And we ought to know. We were here from the very start. My name is Silas Bingham. This is my brother Alvin. I don't believe I recognize any of these folks yet.
I don't see anyone I here recognize either, but welcome. I think this is one of the most beautiful spots in the entire Hockhocking Valley, overlooking the entire region and the city of Athens. Very regal name.
Yes, it wasn't Athens when we moved here. We came here from Marietta in canoes in 1797 up the river and settled here, and when we got here they were still calling the town Middletown. Perhaps you've heard that before. You all know why it was called Middletown? Halfway between Marietta and Chillicothe. But since it was going to be university grounds, it was a great place of learning, they figured that Athens sounded a little bit more scholarly, a little bit more regal. So welcome to Athens, Ohio.
Do you remember that first cabin we built?
Well, when we came up that river, there wasn't much here. We had to make do with what we had, and we used the trees that were around here to put up our first home, a log home. And many of you, if you're fixing on settling these parts, might have to do much the same thing. That first cabin served many purposes.
Seems like it took us forever to build, but it's still standing today. I used it for a courthouse for years.
And it was home to the third president of the university, President Wilson, and John Templeton, who was the first Negro to graduate from Ohio University back in 1828. And so it served us really well.
Yeah, we also used it as a council house or a town meeting house for many, many years.
So it's been quite a community servant. We've tried to be the same, be good community servants of the things that we've done in these parts.
Daniel and I brought Methodism to this part of the country. We supported its doctrine and participated in the monetary erection of churches. My son Daniel also continues this practice. My son John is a circuit rider for the church. I have 14 children. 12 of them were born before we came to Ohio. Can you imagine traveling with that many children? It wasn't easy.
My beloved Benjamin became ill. We found it necessary in later years, because I was not physically able to take care of him, to move to Athens and live with our son John. And this is where my husband died in 1821. And I was 87 at the time I died in 1840.
Mind if I tell him about your feat?
I suppose you can if you really want to talk about my
It's
feat.
not actually his feat that I'm proud of, it's Silas himself. Many years ago, he was working for the general. Everybody here go to school, you learned about George Washington. During that time, we had one of the worst winters that I think was ever recorded in the U.S. history. My brother Silas was fighting for our independence at that time, and his feet were frozen, frostbite. And to this day, I bet you still feel a little chill down there, don't you?
Even on a warm day, it's a little chill. I tell you, it was an exciting time to be fighting for independence, but I would have traded a little independence for some good woolen socks, stockings that evening of Christmas Eve. Standing down there when I was only 16 years old, and I still feel the effects. But it's been very exciting. I witnessed the birth of a nation. When the United States broke and came with their independence, I was there, and also got to witness the settling of the state of Vermont when it was broke away from the state of New York, and now this wonderful state of Ohio. I was here when Ohio became a state as well. So I've seen the birth of many things, not to mention many children. Well, I think we've taken enough of your time. We appreciate you stopping, and now that you know the canal is coming down our way, I expect the next year or two will be all the way to Athens. It's to Nelsonville now. We'll have a route to get your goods and services right out to anywhere in the country. A consistent speed of 4 miles an hour. You can have your goods shipped all over the country. So it's a right proper place to be, and you're in on the beginning of something wonderful. I hope to see you soon at Mill or Meeting. Either one would be a good time for us.
Thanks for staying in Athens.
Many of Athens' past leaders have had Ohio University connections. In fact, at least 11 of the mayors for the city have either worked at the university or graduated from there. Now, speaking of Ohio University, it's fall, and that means it's time for Ohio University football. This season, they are returning to their victorious ways, and Elisa Rich shows us in this bicentennial moment where it all got started.
The years 1927 to 1937 were golden years for the Athens football fans. During that interval, no OU team lost a home game. Illinois, Indiana, Rutgers, and Navy all fell to OU. Much was owed to the superb coaching of John C. Peden and Dutch Troutwine. Success was contagious. Under Thor Olson, the wrestling team won a string of state titles, while the basketball team under Brendan Grover captured the conference championship in 1932. Peden's baseball teams generally finished close to the top. I'm Elisa Rich with another Athens Bicentennial Moment.
Well, that does it for today's Spotlight. We hope you enjoyed our special look at the city's celebration of its 200th birthday. We'd like to say special thanks to Chris Cornwell and Joanne Prisley of the Athens County Historical Society and Museum. I'm Shireen Jones, and for everyone here at Spotlight, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.
For everyone at Spotlight, I'm Dennis Cometti. Good night.